Welcome back, guys, to the Always Bent Podcast, episode 6. And today we're here, me and Jeff, in the RNA studios, and we've got a very special guest. If you want to introduce him, Jeff?
Yeah, so the man that we have today needs very little introduction. But Sean has been around the area, Chesapeake Bay area and Ocean City area his entire life. And millions in tournament winnings over the years. But very little introduction is needed because I'm going to let him speak. So Sean,
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Well, we're glad to be here.
We really thank you, though, for coming.
No worries at all. I'm glad to do it.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming out, and basically I want to get started with, I was born and raised here in the area, and like Jeff just said, you've been here your whole life, just where you're from and when you got into fishing.
I'm a Magathie River, Severna Park boy is where I was born. My mother's still up there, lives on the Magathie River. And then I started fishing up and down the bay and caught my first white marlin in Ocean City 49 years ago.
That was only 2 years after the white marlin started.
Exactly.
Wow. That is
and
awesome.
I've been very fortunate to participate in many years of that. And, love fishing. Had many opportunities to travel. So I've been some nice places. And, along the way, we've caught quite a few fish.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so I guess you've been coming down to Ocean City since you were a kid?
Since I was a kid,
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've watched many changes, and the number of boats have increased. And, that's why we got to be on our special marks these days to get the job done.
Yep, that's
Been
it.
in the charter business now for over 25 years, ran thousands of charter trips, and participated in tournaments for 25 years.
So that was my next question. For those of you who don't know, the Restless Lady 2, how long ago was it when you started charter fishing?
Charter fishing, 1999. And the
9
first
years
boat
old.
I owned was the Justified, who's still a charter
That's what you were
boat.
talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
And that boat runs out of Avalon, New Jersey, and I'm very well connected to the guys that are still running that. And we've had a good run, and certainly know lots of people here fishing. And my pride and joy now is the Big Fish Classic tournament, sponsored by Huk.
Mm-hmm.
And we just, been around fishing my whole life.
Yeah, that's...
So I wanted to go into, I don't know, I really wanted to hear about your stories, because I know you just went to Ecuador, you went to Guatemala, correct?
No, I spent October in Australia for 27 days.
Even better.
So I got to visit and lived on a Great Barrier Reef for six days on a liveaboard.
That's so cool.
And fished with a captain that's caught over 10,000 black marlin. And, it was just a crazy good trip. Not only were we on the boat, but we did helicopter rides on the reef. We did an airplane ride on the reef. And as far as fishing goes, guys, the Great Barrier Reef, there's really nothing in comparison.
Right.
But we were lucky enough to have 19 black marlin. 2 of them were well over 1,000 pounds.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And everybody's caught some marlins offshore. But there's one notable thing that I know about this black marlin is that when it comes out of the water, it's like being shot out of a catapult.
That's so cool.
I had a 600-pounder clear the water by 12 foot.
Wow.
And my probably 1,200-pound black cleared the water by 6 foot.
Wow.
And it is an amazing sight.
I can't imagine.
I didn't know
blue
they
marlin
jumped
there,
that
Tom?
high.
There is some blue marlin there, and they actually said you had to go farther out to have a chance at blue marlin,
that's what I thought too.
and some yellowfin. The only other bites we really had were wahoo bites, and the baits are about 3 foot long. So
You're fishing the reef edge, right? You're close.
When I got a 1,200-pounder jumping out of the water, less than a quarter of a mile away, I'm looking at 2 foot of depth over top the reef. You're right there.
That is wild.
That is
Yeah,
so cool.
it's an amazing thing, and I got a chance to go to an amazing boat that had 5-star chef on it, everything from eating kangaroo and different fish.
How was that?
The kangaroo is amazing. If you put deer loins on the table and you put kangaroo on the table, I'm reaching for the kangaroo.
Really?
Wow.
I was amazed. And I'm one of these guys that said, oh, no way, I'm not eating that stuff. It was amazing.
When you have somebody cooking something for you that knows how to cook, it makes all the difference in the world. I never even liked raw tuna until I met my wife. I was like, and now I don't need to cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. So, the prep and being around guys that really know what's going on. And when you heard that intercom from the captain, I mean, everybody just was on alert.
Yeah.
And because that means he's definitely seeing him. Oh, yeah, he's coming down the left side, and we're all looking. And when you're there, I said, is there a size wave that we don't fish in? He says, we're going fishing. And the first day was all 12-footers, and he's all the way up in the tower the whole time. Never comes down. So it was an amazing trip, and can't say enough for it. And,
so then you went to Guadalupe?
No,
what is it called?
You fly into Ecuador,
okay,
and then you go to the Galapagos Islands.
Galapagos.
The whole Galapagos Islands is nothing but a preservation. So there's numerous islands there. There's 3 fishing permits.
Wow.
No recreational boats. There's some dive tour boats. There's some island hopping tour boats. But I've never been to a place that I know sometime during the day that we're going to get wolf packed by striped marlin that are 160 pounds to 270, where you have 6, you've hooked your fish, and then you just watch the wolf pack come.
Right. That's so cool.
It was in 4 days we raised 100 striped marlin.
Did you see those big yellowfins that are there?
Did not see any yellowfins while I was there, but I did see, like 3 weeks after I was there, they had some shots out of it.
Okay.
But mainly
3 permits they only issued.
There's 3 boats with fishing permits.
Wow.
The Navy is in control. The Navy base is right on San Cristal, and they check you in at the boat every day. We actually have one of their personnel fishing on the boat. And probably if you cut a branch off the tree, somebody's taking you to jail. So the environment, there's Nature no cars.
You can't touch the land?
Yeah, the land is so protected. There's no cars on the land. There's only scooters for residents. And there's 7,000 people that live in the islands. And the only pickup trucks you see is either working for the government, doing something, or there is some construction going on, but it's
what are they building there?
Just redoing structures that were already there. You're not going to see any clearing of the land. And obviously, they're famous for the 300-pound turtles.
The big great whites. The gigantic great whites. Did you see any great whites? Or sorry, maybe I'm wrong.
No, the great whites are going to be down there on the other side of Australia.
Okay.
There's a lot of hammerheads. They do all kinds of dive trips. It's not really a reef dive. It's more like a rock dive.
Okay.
And, of course, we did a little bit of snorkeling.
Cliffs and stuff?
Yeah. But it is quite a...
It's 400 miles off Ecuador, right?
Yeah, southwest of Ecuador. And when you're in Ecuador, you're actually at the center of the earth.
Yeah.
So we actually have 1 foot on this side of the equator and 1 foot on the other side.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's some tourist stuff to do there.
Yeah.
And actually, our last day there was Good Friday. So we actually went into town, and they've got a church there that took 100 years to build.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And they had the whole procession of the center, Jesus with the cross. Yeah, so
I didn't even know there was anything on the island at all. But
well, this is Ecuador, what I was talking about right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a real, you know,
Yeah.
really something to see.
I'm sure there's a lot of history there.
Yeah, there's a
especially
lot
for
of
something like
history,
that.
very beautiful, but the Galapagos Islands itself is certainly a preserve, and we all know what that is. I mean, they're not letting anybody in there. And to go down and see 100 striped marlin on the troll,
That's pretty wild.
pitch baiting your it really
Fishing
is
us
something,
just
and we don't have big fancy, not outboard 35 footers, with triples on it, that kind of thing. So it's really a place worth going back for.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
we
that sounds like a
we are
dream
due
trip.
to go back next March.
Okay.
So the fishing was that good.
Yeah.
So is that been your favorite destination that you've been, you think?
The favorite one that I can get back to.
Favorite one?
Travel to Australia.
Like we were talking, you're like, I always want to come home to Ocean City.
Yeah. But when you go to Australia, you got 23 hours of air time.
It's hard.
38 hours to do it.
And I know you. You don't sit still.
I don't sit very well, and I even had a bed, so I had to make sure I had a bed on the plane. But Australia is a beautiful country, rainforest. We did the Daintree and sky track, so it's quite an adventure.
So Australia is probably your favorite. Just
That would be
travel.
my favorite because there's so much there.
Yeah.
But the Galapagos, as far as to go 4 days fishing period, and have to get in and take off out of there, I think Galapagos wins that.
Because it's not as all day travel either, right?
No. 4.5 hours from Miami to Quito, Ecuador. Then it's 2 hours. What happens is you got to go in, you got to spend one night. And then you get on the other plane
To go
and
to
fly
the Galapagos.
2.5 hours to the Galapagos.
And they have a little tiny airport on the islands or
Oh
something?
yeah. St.
Okay.
Christophe, has an airport there, and the people were really nice, and the kids.
How do they get food and stuff?
Well,
there?
It's an island. You don't
Right.
bring it with you, so it's being
It's
shipped
being-
in there.
yeah.
All the supplies come in, and there's not any modern. Everything's moored. There's really no modern marina
Right.
there. They're not disturbing the bottom.
Right, it's not
That's
like
for
the
sure.
Bahamas or something.
And then no. And the sea lions own the beach. There's sea lions everywhere, so it really is. But at 11 o'clock at night, there's no crime there. Everybody's so I mean, if you have a DUI in Ecuador and you're an Ecuadorian, you're not going to be on the Galapagos. Yeah,
Gotcha.
you're not getting it.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice to see that somebody that never been anywhere else with
Right.
this much protection.
And I like that it's not, like you said, it's not that far.
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
No,
That's
that's
very,
a
very doable.
Fly to
me.
Miami, 4.5 hours, spend the night in a hotel, and 2 hours to the island.
Yeah, that's not
I'm
bad.
trying to think. You said earlier that you could get back to what country was it in South America? Was it like Peru or Venezuela that used to be big fishing spot, and you can't go back anymore?
Well, Venezuela is very tight to get in and out of these days, but third world countries, guys.
Well, they opened Cuba.
Well, I was trying to remember if
Cuba
there was-
was closed for a long time.
Yeah,
And now they opened Cuba back up. I thought, didn't they?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Where would you say besides there is one of the more exotic places you've fished over the years, or is there any other ones that stuck out? 'Cause I know you said that was your favorite now, but
20 years ago, Costa Rica.
yeah.
Since then, the only thing that's really changed in Costa Rica is we built 2 giant marinas with
Yeah.
400 extra boats. Cool place to go in the old days, 10, 15 miles out, you'd throw. But everything's changing. You're running further now, and there's
So
a
those
lot
fads,
more
right?
boats.
Aren't they
Yeah,
going to like
fads.
those really far offshore?
Yeah,
fads?
now they've got fads out there at 80 and 90 miles, and just like here, world's changing, and things change all the time, and that's why.
But you think that fishery, besides anywhere, has changed the most that you've seen, probably?
That fishery's changed a lot because they made lots of deals with longliners to have bridges built and some of that
Gotcha.
stuff
Makes
in
sense.
these third world.
Yeah.
Changes
Third
stuff,
world
yeah.
politics.
But certainly the food and all that in Galapagos is really fantastic. Costa Rica's got nice restaurants too.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, in between Mexico and, you know, Cabo is a nice place with, you know, that's a nice family place to go because you have a lot of items that can be done, plus you can fish. So, but as far as fishing for me right now, if I want to know that I'm going to go have a lot of fish, I'm going to jump on an airplane and go to Galapagos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That sums that one up.
Yeah. And we've got it pretty good here in Ocean
Yeah,
City. I mean,
obviously.
even growing up here for me, the only place I've been out of the country is the Bahamas, and it was a good fishery down there. I had fun down there. But
I ran the boat.
we got it good here.
We used to go into Cat Island, and I did liveaboards on the low profile boat, and we caught a lot of fish. Really wasn't that much fish pressure, but yeah, there's some.
That's what I talk about. The amount of pressure changes fish, man. Like I don't think people understand that as much.
Well,
as
prior to Facebook, they couldn't find where I was fishing for 2 weeks.
Right.
You know,
Now
now somebody on
35
Facebook
seconds.
is calling me, "Hey, Sean, your boat's got 5 fish on." So things have changed. And I think, you know, some of the, you know, and now we have more tools all the time. And now we're going to, you know, we've gone to scopes. And, you know, now we all have Starlink and live videos back to the dock. So I've watched a lot of changes.
You have.
I've got this little scar in my finger from twisting wire that we used to put our ballyhoo on.
Yeah.
And then when mono came out, it was like Christmas, and now we're using this little teeny fluorocarbon.
Right.
Yep.
So things have changed, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even, at least our age, I can't even imagine. We've had GPS pretty much since we were young, you know, and it's crazy to think about the world before GPS. You're just constantly.
I can remember coming home on the compass.
Yeah,
I remember
bet.
actually,
I bet.
I was at some seminar you were teaching, and you were like, we used to just look at the water tower. And that's how we get back. And I'm not kidding you. Like, that's what you told us.
When we saw it,
But was that here in Ocean City? So back before it was
Or
blocked.
the station, the tower back here. That's what you used to tell me. It may not be the water tower. It's the.
But as we came in, we looked for the tower.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere we could be off a little bit, but that was a lot of moons ago. And, you know, of course, when I was in the cockpit in the beginning, there were no limits on tunas. So I'd have yellow fins, blue fins stacked in the corners.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, speaking of history and bluefins, I don't know if you saw, but this winter we were chasing some bluefins around out here. I got to catch a couple. Jeff caught one or two.
Cool.
And,
I caught a couple.
It was cool. It was fun chasing them out there, and striped bass were mixed in and everything, and it was a good time. But have you heard of, or you remember years past where that happened, or you think it happens every year?
Absolutely. It's been going on for a long time. This year was a little bit different because the temperature actually pushed the fish in up above. So they got stuck on the inside, but as soon as they get on bait, there's no reason to leave.
Yeah.
So they were still coming down the edge, and just as recently as 2 weeks ago, the Giants were 5 miles off New Jersey, right on the Barnegat Ridge there, and they were putting their one trophy fish in the boat and going home. Now they're still catching and releasing a couple there, but now that
It's closed.
you know it's closed, so now they've stopped fishing. And my buddy Keith Burnett on the Obsession. He had a day to go, so we caught a 90-incher, you know, right before the whistle.
What do you think's holding those fish up there?
It's all about bait.
And you think it has anything to do with that? Because my opinion is like they don't let anybody have no bunker harvesting within 3 miles up there.
Okay, and that's not where, you know, the net boats are not working in there.
I didn't know.
To net that bunker. And the big bunker boats are all coming out of Virginia. And, you know, the 2 processing plants are there. And, yeah, they put a little hurting on the bunker. But I think overall now it's the health of the water, all this sonic booming, and we can talk about, you know, windmills.
Whales showing up on the beaches.
You know, the scallops aren't doing what they normally did. And, you know, you can go on and on about all these changes. No matter what anybody says, anything you do in the ocean is going to affect the wildlife.
100%.
And it's simple as that. We've got a whale trapped up here north of Indian River Bridge right now. That doesn't belong on the beach, and it's a finback. I heard somebody saying.
I saw that. Yeah, big one.
Yeah, and it's a big one. Now they have a second one not far offshore.
I saw one here recently that was pushed on the beach alive.
There's been quite a. That's the one in Delaware. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think changes and just the runoff and of course I caught my first white marlin 49 years ago. Guess where that was?
The jack spot.
On the jack spot.
Right.
And there used to be a buoy there. Without that buoy there, we never knew what the heck was going on to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's all, I just think there's a lot of changes that's going on. And obviously our boat number,
I'm just going to fix that real quick. There we go.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
The boat number on the weekend here is anywhere from 400 to 500 boats going out our inlet, whether you're fishing inshore in the ocean or offshore.
Yeah, if you get a nice day, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now you're not catching a marlin at the jack spot.
Yeah. I've had a triple right there, triple blue marlin right there at the Hamboat.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But, and that's going to happen, you'll get occasional in there, but nothing like it used to be. So now we're running further and everything's more expensive and fuel's out of sight. So a lot of changes.
I remember looking at a map, like it says Ocean City Fishing Grounds from a long time ago, and it said Fenwick Shoal, Winter Shoal, Winter Quarters, and then it had Jack Spot on there. That's where everyone used to fish.
That was it. I mean, we used to catch those sea trout off the Fenwick Shoal like it was going out of sight. And not saying you can't catch every once in a while, but that was a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, my grandfather used to talk about that.
And you could run bluefish trips. Now, I did hear a couple bluefish got caught off the beach not long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that would go on for a month and a half solid. You could book a trip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But those days have changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm optimistic at least for, like recently it seems like the bluefish and the striper are making a little bit of a comeback here locally. Like even right now, the bluefish have been running pretty good for us off the beach and in the inlet. And even as far south as Aztec Bridge, Verrazano, I got a 25-inch weakfish the other day there.
Oh, wow.
Giant,
that was cool to see.
How big were the bluefish?
There was a 32
the chompers.
Big chompers, yeah.
Well, it used to be a time you had to fish through the chompers to catch
the little ones,
bluefin tunas.
Oh, yeah.
You'd lose, hundreds of dollars worth of gear, on bluefish, but we got that bluefin, so and right now you got to watch all that because it's getting a little more expensive, as we all know.
Yeah, I mean, what is a Joe Shoot? It's $30 now, which I love Joe Shoots, but that never used to. Even when I started fishing, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, and then the Joe Shoot news is Joe's bait and Joe's supply tackle is back in business.
Okay.
So the Joe Shoot company was sold. Now Joe's modified, and he's certainly a beginning long-time sponsor of the Big Fish.
Yeah,
I'm one of the original test boats for Joe Shoot when all he had was lead heads.
I remember.
Weren't even colored.
Wow.
Yeah, they got big in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, and we caught giant bluefins down there at Atlantic Beach, less than 2 miles off the beach.
His theory was they didn't push, like the lure wasn't pushed out of the way.
Well,
right?
Even with the big eye.
Yeah.
Right now, big eyes, especially during the day, cannot see worth the darn. I've had it look like bombs dropping out of the sky, and you'd see 5 or 10 explosions. You got one fish on it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it actually helps steady that bait. When that tuna bites, he opens up his mouth and the water rushes out his gill plates. So it's not like a bite. It's more like sucking it down.
Yeah.
But as he's coming, he's pushing the water, pushes the bait out of the way. So even, they make an 8 ounce, and I've heard somebody else got 10 ounce this. But it was basically for in the wash to try to hold them steady.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't mess.
We had
clearly they work.
We had the homemade this year that caught my bluefin inshore. There was a 16 ounce. We were running
There
like a rock.
you go. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And now, Nomad's got these squids that weigh, 30 ounces or something. I'm telling you, somebody gonna catch them on that.
I know.
No
they look
question
good.
about
Yeah,
it.
they look good.
No question about it.
some of the stuff we were trying to catch those bluefin with spinning gear and like an 8-inch soft plastic with a big BKK, like 2 or 3 ounce jig head, and jigging them. So we were trying some different stuff like that. There's always someone out there who will try something different.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're fishing a tournament or something, you got to stick with what works. But if you're out there having fun,
Yeah, I mean, why not,
And certainly on the inshore stuff, the sound bouncing off the bottom, some of these outboards now are so quiet. Right now, if you go down Atlantic Beach, what giant season they really do have there, you'll find the outboards, a couple of those outboard guys catch more than the bigger boats
Really?
do. And the original reason for WWWB way back was because of the sound pounding off the bottom. Those bluefins
Don't like that.
don't like it as much.
I was wondering why
That's
Remo
interesting.
caught so many darn bluefin this winter. Like, I was like, he was on them, man.
There you
And
go.
that-
Yeah.
so inboards.
Yep.
And I was running inboards. He had outboards, I mean, and
Yeah, he's got quiet, and that's a nice running little, and Remo's on it. He caught himself some big eyes.
Yeah,
and
dude,
stuff.
Remo was killing the big eyes this summer.
No worries. Yeah, he'd run out there in the afternoon, and happy hour in the canyon is 4 to 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Now, we have caught big eyes till 1 o'clock in the morning and walked away from them when you could still step on them.
Yeah.
So it's not like they don't bite in the dark. But, everything goes in cycles. And then, of course, Todd had one of the big, my boat had one of the biggest bites of the year. We had 12 big eyes on at one time, put 8 in the boat, turned around, came home, hour and a half later.
Yeah.
That's a good
You have no room. You have nothing.
You can't keep them cold. So, can we do something else? Yeah, look down there and say, what is it you could possibly want?
Right.
Yeah. What more could you put?
You got hundreds of pounds of tuna. But anyway. But
So-
a lot of good times,
And to come this summer, so I want to go on the Huk. So,
Yes, sir.
Big
so
Fish Classic.
he runs the big, you own? There's a pride and joy.
Yep. And this year we even have a category, $5,000 refundable if nothing's caught, but it's the big fish category.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to catch a big.
Yeah.
But it's $5,000 for that. That's refundable.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have the white marlin, biggest white marlin, a $5,000 category. We put a little extra money in the winter take all yellowfin. The thing about our tournament is there's a tournament inside of a tournament inside of a tournament.
Yes.
So whatever your strategy is,
Or your strengths, you like to target tuna.
you got swordfish, you got the billfish. It's a great warm up for the White Marlin Open because all them guys do a little bit of tuna fishing if you're on a marlin boat, and then certainly they get their gear out, get prepped, see the way, and that's something
And
else.
win some money, man.
There's some money involved. We have quite a 3 or 4 boats that are going to be over a couple $100,000.
No doubt, yeah.
We should be a good $1.5 million in total prize money for a 2-day tournament, basically.
It is very cool.
And-
Like, if you got a fast boat like Remo, you can go in and go out. if you want.
You don't have to stay all night. But if you're going to fish, why not be there for the best hours?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
That's what's cool about it.
all
You
these
do.
other tournaments, we're winding up the line at
Yep.
3:30.
That's prime time.
Yeah, and I'd much rather be there until 7:30 at night.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, so most of these tournaments, even inshore, but offshore, they have a lines in at a certain time, lines out at a certain time, and kind of break down. So for the big fish, basically, there is no, you start at.
We have a 32-hour window. You either have a Friday morning leave or a Saturday leave. But you got 32 hours straight.
To
You
catch
want to go
whatever
in
you
and
can
out
catch.
10 times. That's
And
more.
if you want to chunk, you want to troll, you want to do
Live
right.
bait, you can use the kite, spreader, all the things that we have some other rules, IGFA rules that, in other tournaments that, some things I believe in, some things I don't.
Right.
Right.
But this was, hey, let's get
Go
the
out,
biggest
catch
fish.
Yeah, it's like, let's
Yeah,
catch the
yeah,
biggest fish.
However
Yeah,
you
let's
bring
catch
it
the
in.
biggest fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
If I had my way, we'd drag them all home by a rope.
Right.
But anyway, I have to, play by the
Abide, yeah,
rules.
yeah.
I got it. As hard as that may be to do. But no, it's a fun tournament. It gives a lot. And each year we have a couple surprises. Nobody saw it coming.
A lot of entertainment down at MR Ducks.
Yeah,
as well.
we got some live stuff down there on the weekend. We got a country music star that plays too.
What I love about it is if you want to go down to MR Ducks, you see a weigh in every night. Like, people are going to bring in fish right away. If they catch a big fish, they're not going to stay out. They're coming in and weighing.
Yeah,
everything.
that first night they want to be the first one to the scale to get the little
So you're
bonus.
generally seeing a
Yeah.
lot of weigh-in. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. Just like, I mean, a lot of the tournament weigh-ins, but it's right there at MR Ducks, and
That first night, if you're a participant, we have a cocktail party. We feed you. We got music. Got vendors there. We're going to have a great tackle table there this year. Sterling, Nomad, and Joe Shoots all be available right there. So it's cool.
and we'll be down there for sure. We're gonna
Absolutely.
You're gonna be fishing it. So
I'll
we're
be
gonna
fishing, but you'll probably. Well, we got to figure that out. But we
Yeah, we'll
definitely
be
got to
around.
be some sort of
Yeah,
presence
sure.
there for us. for sure.
Certainly,
It's a
it's a good time. Couldn't be happier with our sponsors, and I'm just going to get all the local guys that, even whether it's our beer pool for raffles, we're trying to keep all the local guys. And guess what? That's where fishing started,
Right.
in
Yep.
Ocean City,
Yeah,
down
The
there in
locals.
those docks.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So
exactly.
it's kind of cool.
it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you were really the first docks.
Yeah, at Dorchester Street and
Mhm.
Talbot Street, and that's where it all began.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
and the history of Ocean City is pretty awesome right there. With I always remember hearing about the anglers and like MR Ducks and that Talbot Street Marina,
Mm-hmm.
and that was one of the first ones, right?
Yeah, Talbot.
Mhm.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And certainly
Convenience,
been there,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
certainly now, of course, it's the oldest operational full marina that's been there for the longest.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even if you ever get a chance, City Hall downtown, you can go in there and see some old pictures and John Lewis and Stephen Lewis and God bless Lloyd and Gail. But they have a whole album of some really,
Cool pictures.
really cool pictures.
So my friends
Back in the old days when they were fishing in sports coats and ties.
I can't imagine.
wow.
Yeah. Either can I.
And they, I saw pictures the other day from my friend that before the Sunset Marina was there, him riding a bike in the marina down the edge of the marina, where it was being built.
Yeah.
And he said when they flooded it, like it was
Yeah,
super
basically
crazy.
that was all diked off, dug the hole out, and then flooded it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Shantytown was where the fishing center is.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
It was all.
I remember
different.
talking about Shantytown, but I don't remember it. Like probably like you guys.
I have a
Yeah,
faint
well,
memory.
when
I
I
was
was a
pretty
kid,
young.
that
Yeah.
was a place where, you visited every time you came across.
Uh-huh.
Came down to the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, and
certainly.
they had boats running out of there too. I think there was a head boat.
That's, I
there.
think,
Oh,
where-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where it all, it certainly started there, and on the other side with the Captain Bunning and
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
all that. Yeah, so it's been a long time. Yeah.
So also, if anybody wanted to book a charter with Restless Lady, or
All I can say is you better hurry up because we probably got 90 already.
I
Yeah,
I saw on the
Restless,
calendar.
Restless Lady Charter. It's
.com,
on the web.
it's got a really
and
easy,
it's got
user-friendly-
calendar that'll show you what's open. But
Yeah,
we're very fortunate to have many repeat customers over the years.
You guys catch fish. I mean, you used to be my mentor. I looked up to you fishing,
Well-
learning how to fish this area. I mean, you were,
Todd's been with me now 22 years.
which is huge. I mean,
And
these are awesome.
we all fished together, and his brother's back with us. He left, but he goes all the way back to the beginning, and we catch some fish.
Yeah,
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
We've
that-
gotten lucky very many times, and
hard work and luck.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I
and
mean?
I think everybody's got to have some little bit of sense about
Mhm.
reading water. All this fine gadgetry and all that helps, but We know where we've caught them. We know what we're looking
There's
at.
no-
we
there's
see
no-
the change. We do, you know.
For time on the water, there's nothing better than time on the water.
Yeah.
Time on the water and them two things that sit in your head
Yeah, laying
have
your
a
eyes on
lot
it.
to do with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen.
And then, of course, my legs start shaking, so I know I'm going to get a bite. You know, doesn't matter which way I turn.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah,
my
we
right
all
foot gets warm.
Yeah, there you go. We all have those little things.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. And yeah, I meant to ask you also, just, I would say, let's take it to a local story. What was one of your craziest trips or memories or
Out of Ocean
times
City.
out of Ocean City, in or out of a tournament, whatever, just something that sticks out in your head, like a crazy day of fishing out of Ocean City?
Well, I'm going to tell you something I'm never going to forget is the 2011 in the White Marlin Open. I'm watching the fleet inside the Washington Canyon. I'm a little north of it on a little ledge that we have marked that goes from 2,000 to 5,000 feet real quick. We catch a white marlin. I say, oh, look at them tunas on top. Oh, something chasing them. I say, oh, that's a mako. Then we catch another white. Then we catch a dolphin. And all I can remember is Todd's up on my tower, which doesn't have any controls. And I can hear his feet, and he's trying to spit it out. There he is on the left. When we got buried with a 700-pound blue marlin. 30 minutes later, you know, we got him close. We know we're going to the scale if we get him in the boat. 45 minutes later, we put him in the boat. And the whole ride home, are you sure he's 500? Everybody kept asking me, including Todd, are you sure he's 500? I said, look, I have killed some big fish, and not too many people had the opportunity. You know, we stopped killing billfish a long time ago, but I had killed some before. I said, look, that thing weighs 700 pounds. Get to the scale, she's 699 and a half.
Oh my God.
I'm right on the money.
Yeah.
And them guys couldn't, I still haven't let them live it down.
Wow.
But
And
that was crazy good. The fish came in 8 to 130, right where
So
it's
what you
supposed
saw
to.
chasing the tunas was blue.
Yeah, I saw the tail of the
Yeah.
blue marlin
Yeah.
chasing the tunas. And meanwhile, I'm listening to everybody complain over in the Washington. There's too many boats, haven't had a bite, and we had her done.
Yeah,
And,
that-
Super cool.
yeah, super cold, and it was on the Restless Lady, which is a
And did that-
1964 Julian Guthrie boat. The Guthrie boat, the Chaos is a Guthrie, the Rochambeau's a Guthrie. This is the grandfather that built this boat.
Wow.
And on the
That's
bottom, I still have mahogany planks. Of course, we've been fiberglassed over with
Yeah.
plenty of glass. But if you drill that thing out, I've got mahogany. So this year, the boat is
How many?
60 years
60,
old.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
It's your year.
Man, that is awesome.
It's her year.
I got an old boat. I'm an old guy, and then I got an old hot rod too. So it all fits. Then I own old time barbershop. So it's kind of all goes together.
Well, that's awesome. And yeah, we really, like I said, we really appreciate you coming in today and giving us your time. And
Well,
Yeah.
as we get into the season here a little more, I'll be able to tell you, you know, there's a little eddy way offshore right now. The longliners are still fishing up. The best they've done is still seeing giant bluefins out 200-300 fathoms behind the Norfolk. There's been a couple swordfish caught. No real indication for us to run offshore yet.
well,
And he was
I know
always
we're ready when that time.
I remember
comes.
you used to tell me, I would be like, look at this water, Sean. He'd be like, there ain't no fish in that. And I'd be like, he knew beforehand, man.
Well, and I've done some commercial fishing and I know all the guys. So, yes, I have a little heads up before I go. And water can be beautiful and blue, but if there ain't no bait, there's
There ain't
no
no
fish
fish,
to be
yeah.
caught.
Right.
And I have caught tunas as early as April 27th or 28th or something years ago, right here in Ocean City. We're on a slow cycle here, But a lot of times when it started slow, it stayed solid all year.
Yeah.
Once we got them.
Well, I know once the season gets rolling, we'll all be a little busier, but we'd love to have you back.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'd absolutely love you to have you back, man.
And certainly I can update with what's happened up to the north further and to the south.
Right.
Yeah.
Once this fishing season kicks off, maybe it'd be time. I'd love to have you back.
Yeah,
Like,
love to
talk
do it.
about maybe what's going on with fishing and where it's at. and all
Cool.
that.
I'm better at this now than going out there and listening to all them tell me how it's done all day.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
As you get older, you just like to listen a little more. And say, but when it comes down to it, we're on it.
Yeah, you guys are.
That's
Thanks
it.
so much, Sean.
Well, I appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it. See ya, man.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
You guys got it.
Cool, man. Thanks.
All right.